Peggy Scott LaBorde, and welcome to Steppin Out, with updates from the local restaurant, arts, and entertainment scenes. Joining me, Poppy Tucker, host of Louisiana Eats on WWNO Radio. Hi, Miss Poppy.
Hey, Peg.
Good to see you. Hello. Errol LaBorde, carnival historian and executive editor for New Orleans Magazine. Hi, Big E.
Hey, Peg.
Good to see you. And of course, E is here with his carnival wrap-up, and Alan Smason of theatercriticism.com and the Crescent City Jewish News.
Hey.
Poppy, hello, Alan. And Poppy, with such local bar employees suffering so much, there's a new concept that may just help, huh?
Well, Peggy, you know, if you don't know Devin DeWolf, you need to get to know him.
Yeah,
He's
true.
not from New Orleans. He's a transplant. He's the founder, of course, of the Krewe of Red Beans. He's a stay-at-home dad. He's an amazing man. And when this pandemic happened, he started off with a $60,000 investment from the Krewe of Red Bean funds. And with that investment, he raised $2 million for his Feed the Frontline effort, Feed the Second Line effort, and then hire a Mardi Gras float artist. Well, he's as disturbed as many of us have been about the situation in the neighborhood bars. So now he's instigated a bean coin initiative. And this is basically a prepaid bar tab where for $10 you get a bean. And the bean will be good next Mardi Gras. But what's going to happen with these monies is that 50% will immediately go to these important historical, cultural neighborhood icons like Pete's Out in the Cold and Seal's Class Act, the R Bar. And then next Mardi Gras, as you spend these bean coins, 50% more will be paid out as those are redeemed. This is so brilliant because it's an art project. They're doing it in conjunction with Glass Half Full, which is a local glass recycling nonprofit. It's just brilliant altogether, like everything Devin does. And I certainly hope people will get out and support him. You can buy the coins and learn more about it at nolabean.com.
All right, thank you so much. And over to Air. A carnival like no other?
I think, well, that's for sure. But I think despite it all, it's going to have some legacy. And one I think everyone's predicting is the house floats. That was a huge success from the very beginning. That people were out decorating their homes, and I think you can see this every year from now on. With a big advantage, now you had house floats with nothing else going on in your neighborhood. In the future, you can have house floats with big parties going on in your neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And this might be part of a movement to do something that Mardi Gras is needed, and that is to bring more activity back into the neighborhoods. And so imagine having that, what you're seeing right there, these kind of floats and activity going on Mardi Gras, where it's okay to smile and to dance and to be merry. So it's a great idea. It brought a lot of people into participating in Mardi Gras. And it takes it away from the parade route and puts it back in the neighborhood, which I really think is important. And congratulations to everybody for just the great work they did. Imagine if they have a year ahead to think about it. This is all last minute stuff. I mean that people were thinking about doing is just a big successful idea. So I think in future people, when they write carnival histories, they'll talk about this year's carnival, the Carnival of 2021. Even though there weren't any parades or anything else, that the whole house floats concept started.
And I have to say, special thanks to Pat Jolly, who went out and took all these great photos that you see. And it's great because you get to see some of the house floats, perhaps, that you haven't seen. But it's amazing. There have been over 3,000. And Megan Boudreau, who established the Krewe of House Floats. And then back to Devin DeWolf, Poppy, hire MardiGrasArtist.com with Caroline Thomas. I mean, lots of people, of course, involved. But making work and providing income for all the artisans who work on all those floats was such a good idea. And to go back what you're saying about the neighborhood feeling, we have fewer and fewer parades in our neighborhoods. So this really did strike a nice chord.
Yeah, there used to be several parades along neighborhood routes, like Ferret Parade in Carrollton and Mid-City. In Jefferson Parish, the parades went down Metairie Road. And gradually those were taken away, mostly because of the police who needed a more streamlined, efficient route where they could have all their barricades in one place and better crowd control. And so in Orleans Parish, it's pretty much St. Charles Avenue and with the exception for Endymion on Canal Street, and Jefferson Parish is mostly veterans. And so compromise was the neighborhood feel. And I can agree with not having parades in those neighborhoods, but to do something like that, to make the neighborhood itself a sort of visual parade, is something Mardi Gras is needed. And I think people were looking for some kind of idea, and the idea just popped out of this. And it's something that's going to be good. I think it's just get more people involved in Carnival.
One PS to that, E, also is that with the hire a Mardi Gras artist, and Devin likes to apparently spread the money around, and because what would happen was any time they finished decorating a house, he would hire a local brass band to play in front of the house, and we witnessed that around the block from where we live, So he was paying musicians, he was paying artists, quite a great combination.
We were already starting to see, just in the early COVID days, like little street band parties going on, and so that was coming together. Now imagine if you have this, that you have the decorations in the houses and some sort of unity. That I can see like neighborhoods being united behind the name, and maybe even giving prizes to the people in the neighborhood, and so have some neighborhood organization and have neighborhood street parties. And so I think it's a real good thing. The other thing I'm curious about is, how some people are very slow on taking down the Christmas decorations, and they're still up all year round. I mean, maybe they'll change a light bulb or put up an Easter egg or something at the appropriate time. I think we're going to see some of these decorations manifested throughout the year in different ways, but what's wrong with that?
Right.
It just brings more color to your city.
And mark my words, I bet some folks are already thinking about Halloween.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay. And moving on to Alan for a theater update. There's still some theater coming down the pike, right, sir?
Oh, absolutely. Well, the news is, first off, at Southern Rep that they have hired an interim artistic director to replace Aimee Hayes, but the official news has not yet leaked out in terms of an introduction, but that's the news. This is a particularly difficult time for Southern Rep, of course, because of the size of their theater and the social distancing that's required for the protocols for COVID. They've not really been able to put on any stage performances. But this recent holiday, the other holiday that we had around Carnival time, Valentine's Day, they had a gathering, if you will, on the internet, a virtual gathering, and that was 19th Moon, a local artist, had something called God and Sex, a Valentine's Day special. And they're going to make this available now until March the 8th. This is going to be $15 for the cost, and you can see it at southernrep.com. They'll send you off to Eventbrite, and you'll be able to get your tickets. That's a fantastic way to celebrate Valentine's Day and also to celebrate New Orleans culture. It's going to be great. Meanwhile, Peggy and Kenner, the children's show based on the Walt Disney musical The Descendants, that's a movie that they had come out with, is opening next week at Rivertown Theaters. The musical is going to have 2 rotating casts of young people, and the performers you see will depend on which particular time and place that you go to, what date you pick out. They have many shows that are already sold out. In some cases, there are available seats, and in some cases, overflow seats are available. So check that out if you want to see a nice kids show with some really talented kids. Meanwhile, across the river in West Wego, the Jefferson Performing Arts Society, which has really been very active this season, is having another socially distanced comedy zone. This is L.A. Hardy, the first of 2 comics they're going to have this weekend coming up. And Juanita Lolita is the second one of the comedy zone, who will be on the boards, if you will, performing at the West Wego Performing Arts Theater. There'll be plenty of giggles, guffaws, and chortles for just $20.
Thank you, Alan. And the soul queen of New Orleans, Irma Thomas, is celebrating a milestone birthday. Today, February 18th, is her 80th birthday. Hard to believe. Her musical career has spanned more than 80 years, and she remains as active and beloved as ever. Gwen Tompkins of WWNO's Music Inside Out takes a look back.
Irma Thomas is the soul queen of New Orleans, but her unmistakable voice resonates with music lovers all over the world. Thomas has been recording since 1959, but she began singing much earlier. Born Irma Lee in Ponchatoula, Louisiana in 1941, she moved to New Orleans with her parents at the age of 3. By 19, she'd been married twice and given birth to 4 children. Thomas worked as a waitress and in other jobs before bandleader Tommy Ridgely helped her land her first record. That record was also her first hit. You can have my husband, but please don't mess with my man. Soon after, Thomas teamed with composer Allen Toussaint, who wrote many of her best-known songs, including It's Raining and Ruler of My Heart. A song she wrote, Wish Someone Would Care, was released in 1964 and became her biggest national hit. Thomas was also first to record Time Is On My Side, which was later covered by the Rolling Stones. In addition to her rhythm and blues hits, Thomas is also a gifted gospel and blues singer. Her album, After the Rain, won a Grammy Award in 2007 for Best Contemporary Blues Album. Except for a stint in Los Angeles in the 1970s, Thomas has lived in New Orleans most of her life, and she remains a beloved regular performer here. She's played the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival since 1975, and her Mother's Day concert at Audubon Zoo has been a staple since 1983.
And special thanks to Dominic Massa, Larry Roussery, and Gwen Tompkins for our feature. And back to Poppy, one of our favorite butcher shops in Mid-City.
One of our favorite butcher shops has morphed into something new, and that's Piece of Meat, owned by Leanne Smith and Dan Jackson. And of course, they've always been about sustainable, ethical meat. And what they've done now is where there used to be seating inside, it is now a market designed to showcase other local small food producers. And they're open Thursdays through Mondays from 10 until 7. And in the little shop, you're going to find Flower Moon bagels, pasta from Rebecca Wilcom at Giovanna, Progress Milk Barn's Creole cream cheese, and Jamie Mote's delicious Creole cream cheese cake. Now, right there, that is Crystal Joy, and she is the woman behind Downriver Market. This is another new concept where she's gathered together lots of local producers like Campostella Farms and Timmy Perilou, local cheeses from Southern Made, and she's running these pop-up markets. She's at Piece of Meat on Fridays from 12 until 2. When she's not there on Fridays, she stocks the Piece of Meat market with fresh produce all week long. And more big news from Piece of Meat, they're going live on Gold Belly on March the 1st, which means that they're going to be shipping those boudin egg rolls and that famous bologna sandwich nationwide. So the tale continues.
Air, I know you like bologna, so we got to go check out Piece of Meat for some bologna.
On white bread with mayonnaise. Blue plate.
Okay, thank you, Poppy. And Air, back to you. Yet another place, City Park, learned how to celebrate Carnival in a unique way. To much acclaim, huh?
Well, this was an incredible story because the amount of time between the concept and the actual implementation was very, very brief. It was, when the mayor announced that, well, we're going to have Mardi Gras, but it's going to have to be different. We're not going to do the regular things, and we can't have parades. People started thinking about it, and there were several suggestions. One thing that really helped was the fact, because of COVID, City Park didn't do Celebration of the Oaks the usual way this year. They didn't have people walk through, so they went back to something they hadn't done since before Katrina, and that was to have a drive-through. They'd gotten away from doing that. But the drive-through for Celebration at the Oaks was such a success that people started thinking, well, why don't we do this again for the floats? So had it not been for that, the floats idea may not have come up. One of the administrators at City Park, Rob DeVinny, is the captain of the crew of, co-captain, the crew of Argus out in Metairie. So he knows how to do this. He knows
Air,
about...
look at what Rex contributed there, huh?
Yeah, it was a great contribution. And that is Bo Bathage, who was a beloved figure, who was a former Rex, former captain of Proteus, involved in Carnival in many different ways. Also was involved in City Park as far as developing the carousel. So that's a tribute to him. But look what a nice thing it was to have these things. And the real good thing I like about this is that people could look at the floats and not have to worry about the beads, which is always said there needs to be more of, because some of these floats have a lot of design elements. And a good touch was having dancing groups along the way. So on one side was the floats, on the other side was the dancing groups, there's a lot of them. So it was really a good experience I got to tell you, I went kind of because I felt like I had to, and I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. It's a good idea.
Well, also there was a wait because I think we ended up waiting in the car for about an hour, but we kind of knew that, all right. But once we got in it, and it was also marvelous because it was along Roosevelt, the mall, and so it ended up being, and it was there were so many clever things. And Poppy, we were talking about this a few minutes ago. They had the actual flambeau fixtures illuminated, and then they had signs that said Nutri-Ground side and sidewalk side, and because you had this Nutri-Ground, in the middle, so it was a perfect backdrop, wasn't it? I mean, in terms of that, and yes, to have those dancing groups, and I understand even the six-stand stompers and Alfred Richard could be spotted along the way, but that too, because otherwise it would have been pretty static just to see the floats. But I thought it was particularly wonderful to see the Zulu float and the Rex
Absolutely.
float and lots of other contributions as well, right?
Well, the one thing, the house decorations, like I said, I think that's going to be a keeper every year. As popular as this was, I don't think this can be a keeper because the crews need their floats. I mean,
They need their floats back, right.
Yeah, Rex can't give up his King's float, or certainly it's Buff Gras. But certainly, unless they want to create a float just for that. But it's certainly a memory of this Mardi Gras that's going to be special. One other thing I want to acknowledge real quickly that was really special too, and that was a piece of music that Llewellyn Berger, Uptown, put together called
the music video?
Yeah, yeah, a music video called No Parade. It was a takeoff of a masquerade. It used some local singers with the St. Charles Avenue Presbyterian Church and some people connected with Loyola. It was brilliant. It was absolutely brilliant. The singing was good. The lyrics, the visuals was really good. And it's probably not too late if you go to YouTube and just type in No Parade and search it. You'll probably see it. But it just showed, it just added, it just gave full example of the amount of creativity that's in this community when given a reason to go ahead and do it.
Just a P.S. Yesterday, as you know, you and I were sitting at Venetia's having lunch, and all of a sudden, and the shades were open, and you could see Carrollton right there, and all of a sudden we saw the floats going by. So the floats were, front floats and the Oaks were going back to their respective dens, and I, ran out to take a picture, and I realized, and there were other people too, all agog at this, and it was like, this is the only parade we were going to see, if you will.
Shows you how much the world's turned upside down. To be sitting at Venetia's on Carrollton Avenue and to see the Rex King float go by in the Buff Gras and in the same procession, the Baka Wapa. And it was really a special moment to be able to see all that, though.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Eve. And back over to Alan. Alan, not only do you have, of course, your weekly online show about theater, but you were actually producing last week, weren't you?
Well, yeah, actually, because of Carnival before that, the week before, but I wanted to acknowledge the wonderful work that was done. Maxwell Williams, of course, from Le Petit, was the director, not as a Le Petit director, but as an artistic director in his own right, and he directed the piece called The Awakening of Kate Chopin by Rosary O'Neill, and fantastic work done by Diana Shortez as Kate Chopin. There she is, an older picture, but she was glowing in the performance. Michael Aaron Santos played her lover, Albert Sampiti, there in the upper right, and of course James Jurgen, her husband, Oscar Chopin. Really wonderful work was also rendered by Jan Pagan as the designing and manipulative Maria Deluche. Again, if you didn't see this really wonderful work, I really entreat you now to go to either YouTube or Facebook. Check out any one of these spots. It's about a 99-minute presentation, but I think you'll really enjoy it. It also gives you a lot of insight into a writer from Louisiana who became really a pioneer for literature and is really considered one of the leading ladies of her age.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Peggy, the name Jason Robert Brown may not mean much to us here locally, but he is a Broadway standout. One of his early off-Broadway pieces was called The Last 5 Years, and it was basically a very unusual vehicle because it's a love affair that turns into a marriage, and it's from two perspectives. The woman, Kathy, sings of the end of the relationship and then relives the two of them eventually meeting at the end, while the man, Jamie, experiences the joy of becoming lovers and then has a troubled marriage. And again, the middle is where the two arcs meet, and that's where they sing together for the only time, again, again, it's a wonderful show. I think you'll get a chance of seeing this very unusual, out-of-the-box theatrics, New York-based production, which was done socially distanced, etc., and they shot it on location there. They're going to be doing live performances for $24. You can see it. If you want to stick around and see it another time within a 48-hour period, it's $37. If you want to get a special presentation where the creators talk about what they did, etc., it's a little bit more, $49. But again, the last 5 years by Jason Robert Brown, a new take on that particular show. And finally, the reigning Tony Award winner for leading actor in a musical, there it is, Tootsie the musical. Seth Rudetsky's special guest this week is going to be none other than Santino Fontana, who played there Dorothy Michaels and Michael Dorsey in Tootsie the musical. She'll be singing while Seth plays the piano, or he'll be singing while Seth plays the piano. And again, that's a photo I took with Santino, and he's just a fantastic talent, one of the hardest working guys on Broadway. VIP tickets are $50, but for those of us who just want to catch the show, it's $25 on either Sunday night or Monday afternoon.
Alan, this is what I do on Sunday nights. I watch Seth Rudetsky. It's amazing how he can sing. He's playing the piano in, I guess, in his apartment in New York, and then the star is someplace else. They might even be in California, and somehow they can technically sync, and it's live. I don't think people realize that this is an hour and a half talking to a famous Broadway star and having them sing as well. It is such a good deal.
And they've just updated the list. Brian Stokes Mitchell's going to be on there now. There's a whole slew of people that you're just going to be enthralled with. Even the other week, they had Jeremy Jordan on with his wife, Ashley Spencer. She's coming back as a solo artist. So we're looking forward to that. She was fantastic sharing the spotlight with her husband, but she's also wonderful in her own right.
Okay, thank you. And now it's time for our Picks of the Week. Poppy.
Pick up the phone, make your reservations now. Sunday evening, coming up at Tujague's, it's Bon Femme and Bubbles. So from 5 until 9, it's $52 for bottomless bubbles and limitless Bon Femme with other sides too. It's going to be delicious.
It sure is. Love chicken bon femme. E.
Well, I can't promise any giggles, guffawing, or chortling, okay? But there's a series of podcasts that I was involved in about Mardi Gras called Mardi Gras Beyond the Beads. Go to myneworleans.com, and it's no charge, but there's about a dozen of them that was done. Also, that same place, the Louisiana Insider, which is a series of interviews about Louisiana.
And may I also say, because this is the way I listen to it, it's on Apple Podcasts, so you can say, Alexa, play Louisiana Insider, or whatever.
Alexa's there waiting for you to ask her.
That's right, that's right. Alan.
Well, I just want to let everybody know that the New Orleans Opera is sort of stilled right now, but they have a wonderful opportunity for people who are interested in opera. Giovanna Joseph will be talking about operatic soprano Marian Anderson coming up with the first of several lectures. They're going to have 4 lectures in total. It's $40 for the series called Allons, and that stands for adult lectures, et cetera, et cetera. There's a whole bunch of words that it stands for. It's $40 for the entire series, or $12 each. And again, starting up on March the 4th. Check it out. I'll see you at the theater.
Thank you. You know, I'm glad you're mentioning Giovanna Joseph because, of course, Opera Creole, that organization that she has spearheaded for so many years, I miss, performances, but I know she's trying to do some more things online. Very talented lady. Thank you. And my picks, 3 local historians who also conduct history tours have teamed up for a new book called Secret New Orleans. Mark Aspiazou, James Corbin, and Angela Popke Aspiazou weave together their experiences in this collection of obscure people, artifacts, places, and menu items. They'll be signing their new book on Sunday from 11 to 3. That's at the Bounty, as in Bounty Street, Bountiful Green Market at 149 Delaron Street in Algiers Point. Also on Sunday, from the historic Beauregard Kai's house on Charter Street in the Quarter, there will be a live-streamed concert featuring Harry Marone and Anaïs St. John. It was going to be a Valentine's Day, but it got postponed because of the weather. And there'll be some readings on love from actress Lisa Picone-Love. And that is, of course, from 3:30 to 5 p.m. She was recently in the Ball&I. She was so good. Virtual admission is just $10. So go to bkhouse.org for more information. And we have one last look. We want to show you some more highlights of the decorated homes uptown. First, 623 Nashville with a jester theme. Very cute. And it was circus time at 5331 St. Charles Avenue, complete with lots and lots of circus animals. And nearby, Dinosaur Heaven at 5809 St. Charles Avenue. Then 6000 St. Charles. And yes, that is, of course, the Burger's wonderful home with the whimsical jesters. And that's the same home that showcases also amazing Halloween decorations. And many of the houses on the avenue, you notice the signs, were decorated by Current Studios, which does many New Orleans parades, and special thanks to Estelle DeVerges for those photos. Also, a WYES reminder, February 24th is the deadline to get your Season of Personal Chef ticket, which is the event, of course, you pick up from Cafe Min. Chef Cynthia Boutran and of course, of Cafe Min's going to be on with us next week and talk more about it. But the deadline to get your tickets is February 24th. They need to get a head count, and also it's just a limited amount of tickets available. So, Poppy, Errol, Alan, thank you all so much, and thank you very much for watching. Good night.
Happy birthday.